Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is DJ Brown, for those of you that do not know who I am.
And I'm Billy J. Ludis, guys, here with Once a Week, and we're doing a little bit of a collaboration right now. We're collaborating both of our YouTube channels, both of our YouTube shows, and we want to bring you a message looking at 2021 review, but also seeing what 2022 has in store for every single one of us.
So what we wanted to talk about is what exactly did we all notice in 2021 and what that looked like?
Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, 2021, some people could say it's better than 2020. Some people.
Yeah, that's the key word, some people, right?
Right? But that's where I dive deep with it. And that's the beauty of every single time we've had DJ on the show, it dives a little bit spiritual. So I need you guys to prepare for that because I want to dive deep with it. Because 2021, it had a lot of blessings for a lot of people, but if you didn't have the right perspective, I think you missed out on a lot of the blessings. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I do agree with that. There were a lot of things that we all know about the whole COVID thing, and to be honest, I'm sick of talking about it. Like
I'm right there with you.
that's one thing. Like I don't really want to talk about anymore, just because like everybody's fighting over it. Like there's so many different perspectives. Everyone has a different view on it. Like at this point, it is what it is, type of thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And with so much fighting that's gone on for 2 years with this thing, I question when people are going to realize how it's causing more aggression. And that was never the reason for all of us being here. You know, every single person has their own perspective. Beautiful, incredible thing. But if you let your perspective take you so far to where you're fighting someone else on something that is hurting people, you're not adding to the answer. You're still hurting people because they don't agree with you. Not everyone was supposed to agree with you.
Yeah. And just to take that to a spiritual side, all this is, like, if you can't see it for yourself and if you don't notice it, it's just a setup for division. It's just a way to divide everyone apart. Like, whether you're a believer and follow Jesus or not, like, it's a way to divide you and to make you combat against each other. That's really what it is.
Yeah, I agree to that. And I think we should dive into that division because a lot of families were divided over one thing, right? A lot of friends were separated because of one thing. A lot of people's lives, I think, were divided in so many areas, whether it's new mandates, work, putting in new laws. Like, division definitely could be a definition for the past few years, right? Yeah. Take that deeper with the spiritual aspect, though.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the aspect of the word division, whether you're, like I said, whether you're a believer or not, the Bible talks about there being division, and this is exactly what it looks like, or at least a part of it, right? Because as we see that now you can't even walk into a place without being questioned about your medical history, or whether you have, a certain skin color, or whether you believe in the left or the right. Like, everything's about, like, what you believe in right up front, right? And you're going to get questioned even more about, do you believe in God? Are you a Christian? And that's where it's going. This is where it's setting us up for, right? All these things, all these smaller things, is just conditioning to set us up for, oh, do you believe in God? And if you do, then yeah, you can't be here. Or it's going to get even worse than that. Your life is going to be threatened because of what you believe in.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And that last part right there where your life is being threatened for what you believe in, that's exactly what's going on. But what you're supposed to believe in is, it could be anything. It could be vaccine. It could be a specific law. I'm not going to sit here and tell everyone they have to believe a certain way, but, people take their belief in a vaccine in some regards so much where it is causing the division that you said. And so I think the best thing we can look at 2021 for is that we learn the lesson that, wow, they try to divide everyone so much. It takes the hospitality. It takes the one of the main laws of the Bible of love God and love people. You take the complete aspect of love people out the window, and for some people, they need to love God as well. But going into 2022, if people can realize that was the lesson of 2021 and then learn the lesson and to shift that back in 2022, I think that brings in so many blessings because you're taking division out of it. But if you live a life where you're constantly following the news, if you're constantly following what someone at a podium says for leadership or political aspects, I should say, you're allowing that to dictate every aspect of your life rather than you making the choices for your own right, in your own renewing of your mind by learning. You're now letting someone else tell you what to think. And if you're letting someone tell you what to think, which I think at one point all of us can probably say we've made that mistake, but when you are able to take your perspective back, you realize that doesn't serve me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And the funny thing is that the whole time that you were talking, all I could think about is that this whole setup of why the division is here, right? Like there has to be a cause and effect. There has to be a reason why things are happening.
Yeah.
And I believe that just from what the Bible says and how things are going and different prophecy, like that the reason for division now is so that the government or the world or whatever you believe in is going to try to put this word out there called peace, right? Like everybody's going to say like, all right, we need to stop the violence, we need to stop the fight. And you would think that peace is the end goal, which in an aspect it is, but not in the way that they're trying to give it to us. What do I mean by that?
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is that the Bible talks about when you hear, it specifically says in Revelation, like when you hear the word peace, like, and you hear like world governments and people trying to bring about peace, to run. And the reason why is because it's not the peace that we're talking about, that we actually want. Their peace is bringing on force. Like it's their peace comes by force, and their peace, it comes in a falsehood of like everything that you really don't want in life. As far as like, okay, so I'll give another example. Their definition of peace right now means, oh, if everyone would just peacefully get the vaccine, we would all be okay. That's just an example. That's what their definition of peace is. If we would all get the vaccine, we would all be safe and okay. Well, for somebody, that's not okay for them.
Yeah.
You know, and like to go even more on an extreme, their definition of peace may be like, oh, we all need to look a certain way. We all need to act a certain way. We all need to fall in line a certain way. We all need to do the next thing that they're asking us to do. We don't know exactly what they're going to ask us. The only thing we can go off of is the Bible.
Yeah.
I know that was a lot, but
no, and like, I'm glad you took it there, because it may sound like a lot, but it's the stuff we need to sit on.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
if you don't try to have eyes that see and ears that hear, you can go about every single, as you said, news broadcast or whatever, or governmental message, and you take it in and like, oh, I gotta believe that.
Exactly.
But as you just brought up, they might tell you peace, 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 when in actuality all this is fear, fear, fear.
Yeah.
Right? It's taking the freedom away, in a sense. Yeah. Right? We used to have the ability to make our own decisions. And that is slowly being pulled out. And you have to have a higher perspective for a lot of this. So with what you just went, as much as you went deep with it, that's what helps us have these higher perspectives. I think as much as they're pushing peace and whatnot, you know, I hope it can bring someone some aspect of peace. But when I look at it, I see fear. And media posts and everything is just telling people to do one thing. It popped up the other day, or one of my buddies sent it to me, and it explained how a lot of these news channels can just say whatever they want, and people will just take it, run with it, and then because the people aren't doing their own research behind it. I think to give us all a sense of peace, we need to do our own research behind something. And it might not lead you to, this is the right decision for me. It might lead you to, oh my goodness, what have I got myself into?
Yeah, yeah.
But that in itself could lead you into peace because you're like, I need to get away from that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like one thing I can say is that, like, just to follow up on the whole like peace segment is that this world wants to create a cookie cutter version of everybody, right? Like that's what they're aiming to, a one world government, a one world religion, a one size fits all for everybody. That's what they want. That's their version of peace. Now, I could even go even further on that. I don't want to scare anybody or anything like that, but like, so bringing it back, I think I said this one time on your show before, that like you can't go like externally and find peace, right? Because biblically speaking and speaking from faith, Jesus is peace. Like that's where you find your peace. You're not gonna get peace outside your home. You're not gonna get peace out there. You're not gonna get peace from the news. You're not gonna get peace from any of that. You're even not gonna get peace from within yourself because that's not where it comes from. Peace comes from Jesus, right? That's where peace comes from. He is peace. Like if you have him, that's where it comes from.
Yeah, I agree to that. I think, when you're saying that, I think a lot of people don't have the right perspective on what that peace from Jesus is because someone else has stepped in and changed their definition of who Jesus is.
Exactly.
Right? And I think that's, again, coming back to it, renewing your mind on it, it takes a higher perspective and it takes a real, you can call it encounter with God for that matter if you want to, but it's truly seeing what he brought to the table and truly seeing like, wow, how has he helped you?
Yeah.
And I think when you look at how God has helped you or how Jesus has helped you, you're allowed to feel that peace, which is phenomenal, but you got to be able to erase the old definitions that people might have pushed onto you. I think people, they can look at what a government is doing and not see force because their idea of force was when they were younger, they were forced into learning about something, which pushed them away. But when you can come back to it, right, because he's always there, you just got to turn around, he's always there. And that's when you can really see, oh, let me actually take a look at what this is all about.
Yeah.
That brings the peace, that brings the love, which is the definition of who God is. But that heals us in so many ways. And I think that healing is what's needed because so many people are letting their fear continuously push the wound when God's always there to heal the wound.
Yeah. One thing that I encourage everyone to do is that in 2022 to seek out Jesus, right? Like some of you who are watching this or who may watch it later on, you're probably wondering, like, you keep talking about Jesus, but like how do I find him? How do I get that? You just have to seek, right? Like if you seek, you will find him. He's not hiding from you. He's right there. like you just have to just look for him, right? Like this year, it has to be the year that we all do something different. Whether for me, that means going even deeper because even though I can go deep and talk about spiritual things, it doesn't mean that I know everything and it doesn't mean that I'm exactly where I want to be with God. I can always go deeper. There's always more to learn, and I know you can agree with that.
100%.
Like, you can always go further. So this year, I challenge whoever's watching this to take those steps further. Like whether you're at the beginning stages and you never heard about Jesus or God like on a deeper level before, and you're like, hey, maybe I want to try this out. Well, start off just by praying. Like, hey, it doesn't have to be a crazy 30-minute prayer. Like, just start off. It takes 2 minutes to say, like, hey, God, I want to get to know you. Or, hey, Jesus, like, show me who you are. And if you're the person that is struggling to believe that Jesus is even real, then you're in for a nice ride because he will show you how real he is.
Yeah, right? I agree with that. And I think that in itself should be the goal for 2022 because a lot of people look at their 2021 and be like, all right, what did I accomplish this year? What did I go through this year? What did I make it out of this year? What did I survive this year? How much joy did I have this year? Or they look at their physical goals, right? Because I think the new year always brings people to their physical aspect, and they look at what they learned, what their financials are, and everything like that. But to take it that step further, like you said, we need to get to a place where there is a spiritual goal for every single one of us. It does not have to be the same goal for every single one of us, as you said. You know, some people are at step 1, some people might be at step 30, and it's like, I still want to go deeper, right? But to be able to look at your 2022 and write the goal down or put the goal out there, pray on the goal, and be, I want to learn something new. I think that will bring people to a whole new area for the new year. And it's going to kind of take that veil off your eyes a little bit more to see what's actually going on. And that protects you tenfold. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that protects you tenfold.
Yeah, one thing that I think that this year that we have to revisit as like, just as a society, as people, like, is like, what are black and white things like that are right in front of us, right? Because we have a lot of gray area, but what's black and white? One thing that I want to address is that, like, we need God. Like, we need him, right? Like, and I know that a lot of people are searching and they're looking for something, and they end up getting into different things, right? Like, they end up getting into whether it's astrology or, I don't know, like palm reading and different, just a whole bunch of different stuff. Mm-hmm. And this is probably, you guys probably thinking this is going far left, but just stick with me here. There's so many things that are out there that will try to pull you in, but I'm letting you guys know that, like, God is the way, like Jesus is the way, and the Bible says that, like, there is only one way to get to God, and that's through Jesus. Like, you know, like, and I know Billy can agree with me, like, that's the only way. Like, you can't dismiss Jesus and say, like, I know there's a higher power. I hear that all the time. I know there's a higher power, but I don't know if I believe in all this stuff. Well, trust me, like, there's a lot more to it. Forget about what you heard growing up. Forget about the pain and the hurt that you had maybe going to a church service or whatever it is. An aunt and uncle who called themselves a Christian and they treated you wrong. That's not God who did that. That wasn't God. Like I know you can attest to some of this too. Like that wasn't God. Like Jesus is, you have to view him as like a real person, right? Yep. Like a friend, like how Billy's sitting here right now, even though you can't physically see him, he is literally with you. Like, call him, call his name, and see what happens.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think I to build on what you said, everyone has a perspective on a higher power, right? A higher power. And whether it is astrology, whether it's palm reading, whatever, you got to be able to look at that stuff, and you're making a decision to look at that stuff, which good for you for making a decision. But you got to look at it and be like, where is that power coming from? You know, I think God has blessed the entire universe with power and spiritual gifts. You have a spiritual gift, I have a spiritual gift. You watching this right now have a spiritual gift that you might not have ever tapped into. But to be able to look at that and be like, God, what are you going to do with it? And to be able to look at that and be like, where does that come from? It starts you to dive deeper. But we all are, doesn't it connect to everything Dan just said, DJ said, we all have the free will, that's a gift in itself, to take a step in some direction. But when you take a step in God's direction, oh my goodness, he might take you on a complete, as you said, a trip. Might be fun, might be bumpy at times, might be feel like a roller coaster at times. But to see where that takes you will be 10 times better than where something smaller could take you. And it's just, I've been blessed to be able to look at the world or look at the universe in such a deeper way now, where I can see something and be like, wow. Or if you go look at a painting, or you go on a hike or to the ocean or something, and that view just captures you for a second, go, wow, it's just incredible. Ask who the artist is. If you're at the beach looking at the sunset and everything, who's the artist behind that? We're not just here. We are here with a plan. We're here with a gift. We're here with a route that every single one of us is walking on it. We have the free will, the blessing of free will, to decide what direction we choose to step in. And there's a lot of people that will choose to walk the other way than wherever way God's directing them. And if you choose that route, God will still be there when you turn and look at him. But to actually take that step forward into 2022 to see where he's leading you, it's going to lead you someplace great.
Yeah, there's this for a lot of people, like God, he's just waiting for you. Honestly, he's just waiting for you to give your life to him. If you don't understand what that means, that just means that you take an opportunity to acknowledge that he is God and that he's the one who created you. The fact that Jesus is real, like taking that step and just acknowledging that is the first step, right? Just to acknowledge like, hey, I believe in you. It's one thing to know that he's real, but it's another thing to believe that he is with you and that he died for you and that he loves you. You know, I was watching something and this girl was saying that it's one thing to know something, but it's another thing to believe it. Like personally, I know that Jesus is real, right? Like there's, for those of you that don't believe he's real, like there's science behind it. There's so many facts behind it. Like it's a proven fact that Jesus walked this earth. Like that's without a shadow of a doubt. Like it's proven. But it's another thing to believe that he's the Son of God, that he rose from the dead, and that he's going to return again. I know that's a touchy subject for some people, but it's the reality of what's to come, right? I'm not saying that it's in 2022 that Jesus is gonna come back. That's not what I'm saying. But it's a reality that I think everyone should kind of think about. You know, I'm not here to tell anybody what to do and what not to do. My job is just to put that information in front of you and say, here, you do with it what you want. If you choose to explore on what I'm talking about, then you could just leave a comment for Billy and you can get in touch with me. Like if you want to find out more about what I'm talking about, if it doesn't make sense to you, I will definitely take time to tell you more. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's there for you.
Oh yeah, and that's a conversation that I think both of us love having with people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
the door open. Right? And just to build on it, this is the timing of this video is January 2nd, 2022. Is the first once a week message of 2022. And I'll give a shout out to one of our good friends, MJ, right now, because he used to always say this to me on the topic that DJ just went over. And January 2nd, 2022. So when you write the date, when you're signing a check, when you write the date, if you're a kid and you have a school assignment and you're writing the date at the end of it, 2022, you write the date. Why? Because 2022 years ago, something happened. So to connect to everything he just said, there's so much facts and incredible information. And I say incredible information because when you learn it, it's like, wow, I turned away from this for so long. You got a history book, there's so much stuff out there where if you're not taking what we say to heart, do some of it. That's, again, it comes back to it. You have the free will to choose and do your own research. Do your own research and see where it leads you this entire year. But that's why we wanted this message to come together for both of our channels and to create something that shows you what direction should you take your 2022 in. And you could take it in an incredible area. Or you could take it the same area 2021 brought you. And why not level up? It is the first month of the year. Or it's the second day of the year for that matter. Why not choose to level up this year mentally in your own way, physically in your own way, spiritually in a way by taking a step forward? You are made up of a mind, a body, and a soul. If you increase the soul aspect by connecting with the Creator, oh my goodness, the gifts and everything that flow out.
Yeah, and one thing that I was thinking about too while you were talking is that like for a lot of other religions, they're not afraid to show or do what they believe in, no matter who's watching, who's listening. Like they're not afraid. Like they believe that this is the way to go. That's what they believe. They don't really care about what anybody else thinks or anything like that. I think that for those of you who are believers who watch this, like 2022, like this is the year to start from here on forward. Is to start like just walking in confidence in what you believe in, right? Like this isn't the time to take a step back, but to take a step forward. Like what does the Bible say, right? When Jesus gave the Great Commission, go into all the world and spread the gospel. If you know the gospel, the good news, which is the fact that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, he is the Savior. He gave his life so that we could have like freedom and that we could be able to connect back with God. If you know the gospel and you know this good news, go tell it, go spread it. Like that should be your main thing from here until whenever.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's like complete. I can't say it better than that. You know, take that to heart going into the new year. We can close this out because we've packed it full of spiritual knowledge. But we'll say this, as DJ just said, you know, let your 2022 step confidently into something. Step confidently to everything that we just brought up to you. Why not? If you already planned on your New Year's resolution to confidently do something for yourself and say, I'm doing it this year. I'm accomplishing that business I want. I'm accomplishing that body that I want. I'm accomplishing that love life that I want. I'm accomplishing. Why not take a step and feel something greater than I'm going to say something greater than accomplishment, because it's a feeling when you take a step into the spiritual aspect and to connect with God, you know, to read or just, you know, read a page. Read one page. That's a step in itself. Read one page on everything DJ just brought up on who Jesus is and what he did for us. Oh my goodness. Read one page a day.
Yeah. What better accomplishment to solidify your eternity than to accomplish anything that is like temporary, right? What greater accomplishment is that?
Yeah.
To say that in 2022 I solidified my eternity. I get to live a life after life with God, and everything will be like great then. Like you won't have to worry about any of this stuff.
Yeah. That's so cool. And I'm gonna say this to close it out. You know, whether it's me speaking or it's DJ speaking, he brought up how there's a lot of other religions in the world that can say what they need to say.
Yeah.
There's no lack of confidence in that.
Yeah, exactly.
But to sit next to him and listen to the confidence in his voice to just freely say this to you, what does that say about the belief and the faith and in everything that he knows to bring this to your table right now? How incredible would it be for you to have that same confidence, that same faith, that same belief in something just as he does? I think it's incredible. But we'll close it out on that right there, because I think you ended it with a perfect note. Mm-hmm. But guys, I thank you so much for tuning in to the newest message of Once a Week, and to see DJ back on the show. As I said, whenever he's on, we try and dive deep spiritually, and I love every single second of it. But please like this message on YouTube, hit that thumbs up on below, share this message to someone who you feel could learn something from it. If someone popped in your head like, oh, they'll love this, or someone they're like, oh, they need to see what this is all about, share it to them. That's you doing your part, confidently stepping and trying to reach out a hand and help someone else out. That's what our entire goal is. And please hit that subscribe button below. Let's get that number up and share these messages to more and more people. And per usual, if you or anyone you know is in need of a coach or someone to help you take these steps forward into the greatest version of yourself, please go to BillyGLifeCoaching.com. I'll let you close out your channel.
All right, guys. Thank you for another week on Take a Moment. We had my guy here, Billy G, on the channel this year. I said this year. I mean, this week, right. But we started off the year. And I told you guys again, I would be doing a bunch of different collabs. And this is actually my second collab of this year. So I'm pretty pumped, and there's so much more to watch. So tune in. Thanks.
Take a moment.